Michael Moore's Sicko opened in limited release over the weekend to sold-out shows, and the film has early buzz, but will it actually call anybody to action? For many, the word documentary takes us back to dreary classroom movies and educational film strips. But recently, that genre has made a big comeback in theaters, making money for studios and motivating their audiences at the same time. As the highest-grossing documentary of all time, Michael Moore's Fahrenheit 9/11 helped launch what many consider a modern golden age of documentaries. Last year, Al Gore's An Inconvenient Truth was a comprehensive lesson on the climate crisis and is credited with shifting public perception of environmentalism. This weekend, Moore's latest film, Sicko, attacked the American healthcare system by calling for the abolishment of the insurance industry. But while these films can draw sizable box office numbers, it remains to be seen whether or not they can have a meaningful effect on society. Are documentaries truly inspiring audiences to change the world, or are they simply a change of pace from summer blockbusters? The events depicted are real. It's The Loop. All right, my guest tonight, critic for Movie City News, David Poland is back, and producer of the documentary This Film Is Not Yet Rated, Eddie Schmidt is here. Gentlemen, welcome back to The Loop. David, let's start with you, sir. A certain percentage of Americans they're going to see Sicko. We're sure about that. But they're not going to riot in the streets after the credits roll, right? I mean, most of them, they're going to whine about their HMO while making a pit stop at Walmart on the way home.
Well, the truth is most of them who see this movie are actually people with a lot of health insurance. They're probably going to be in unions already. Probably SAG and AFTRA and the Writers Guild. And the truth is maybe 2-3 million people in this country will actually see the picture. So in theaters, at least, until it gets to movies, so into the video. But
right.
So it's a fairly limited thing. And ultimately, I think a lot of these pictures do. Once you've seen the movie, you feel like you've had the experience, you've shot your wad, now you don't have to worry about it.
But 2 or 3 million people, Eddie, that should be enough to spark some change, right? I mean, why bother if it's not?
Exactly, I would think so. I mean, listen, they're having screenings of Sicko for members of Congress. They had a lot of screenings in Washington. I mean, it's not just for the public. I mean, the whole idea is to create a movement. It's not just for the theater goes that are paying their, $10 or whatever. It's really to get an idea out into the culture and spark dialogue.
Because we don't think people know about this already?
Oh, I think people are going to take it for granted. I mean, it's ubiquitous. It's something that you don't think about unless you're forced to think about it, and many people haven't been forced to think about it.
Well, the people in Washington are forced to think about it because they're paid to think about it by the health insurance companies.
I was going to say, I thought they were half the reason that this system exists anyways. But maybe if it opens one pair of eyes, couldn't that be enough, David? Isn't that a reason to be a little hopeful?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I wish I could say yes, but the truth is, I mean, yes, one pair of eyes is better than no pair of eyes, and you never know which pair of eyes is going to be the great pair of eyes that changes the world. But the truth is, it's very hard to get anybody interested in a serious conversation about healthcare. And though Michael Moore is not very serious most of the time, and it's very funny.
So we should do nothing. I mean, at least he's doing something. He's sparking a national debate.
Well, now, Eddie, let me ask you about your documentary, because you challenged the Motion Picture Association by exposing their criteria for rating films. Now, when you went into this, did you simply just want to inform audiences, or were you actually expecting, some change to happen?
Well, you never expect it, but you certainly hope for it. I mean, you live with these films, you make these films, it takes, 2 or 3 years. You're certainly not doing it for the money, and you wouldn't do it if you didn't think it was a call to action. You hope that it's going to slap people in the face and they're going to wake up and go, oh, I'd never thought about this issue. I guess I need to think harder, and maybe I can do something about it.
So I think the irony is that Eddie has made another film with Kirby Dick that was a man's story about having been molested by a priest, which was a very, very personal story and not really a call to arms. And I think those movies, those documentaries actually have more of an effect because people find themselves in those stories.
And that film did have an effect, actually, and it was screened for local legislature, and I had many people many people involved come up and tell me, I didn't understand this issue till I saw your movie.
So then what is the issue then here, David? Is it a case-by-case thing? Is it the topic that's being argued, is whether it's global warming or MPAA ratings or the health industry? Does it just have to be the right topic at the right time?
Well, the irony is the marketing is really the key to it. If you look at An Inconvenient Truth, the reason that was so big was because they sold it as anything but what it was.
What, a PowerPoint with monotone narration?
Exactly.
It had a cartoon
the
in
most boring man in America. Which we proved a few years earlier in the election that he lost for no good reason. But the point is that they sold it as a horror movie. I mean, every time you saw an ad for that movie, something was blowing up, something was being blown over, destroyed, exploded.
Or Al Gore was looking sad.
Huh?
Or Al Gore was looking sad, which was just as catastrophic.
Which we're used to, sadly.
Now, Eddie, are these other creators, the people making documentaries, are they crazy if they believe that their product will change the world?
They're crazy. They're just crazy. No, I mean, no. I think you have to have that passion. I mean, listen, it's a cynical culture. You have to want to try to do something. Otherwise, you just sit on your couch. So, I mean, I think inside the heart of all cynics is an idealist. And so, with documentaries, you get people who want to try to make change, and they want to try to get that message out in an entertaining way, so people, spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
We're at a very rough time in the film world, I think, where the expectations are so high for everything. If a movie doesn't open to $100 million, it's a flop. If it doesn't make $300 million, it's a flop. Sometimes when it does make $300 million, it's a flop. With documentaries, getting them made, getting them seen, and not going bankrupt doing it is a huge win. And the people who make documentaries should be honored. The question is, when we're talking about something like Sicko, it is a more commercial thing that they are trying to do because Michael Moore carries the weight of a $100 million movie on his back, which is nobody else has ever done with a documentary.
Right, he's a brand name in that genre.
Well, Eddie, is that an issue when it takes a brand name like an Al Gore or a Michael Moore or a Morgan Spurlock to even generate any interest in a serious topic?
I think it's just a hook, and I think all movies have a hook. I mean, our film, Not Yet Rated, had a hook. It had a detective story. Who are the people that rate movies? We're going to hire a PI and find out. So I think it just, you need something to cut through because it is entertainment, but, it's got to have something more, obviously.
And Morgan had McDonald's, which was huge when he did Super Size Me. He wasn't a name back then.
Sure.
And his next movie that he produced is a movie about shopping, and they use Mickey Mouse and the trip to Disney World as a hook, but they can't really use it in the advertising because they can't use the image. So they're having a problem selling the movie because nobody knows how to sell it without attacking Mickey directly.
So we need A-list celebrities, or we need some sort of interesting hook. I mean, Sicko, it's about healthcare. It does have Michael Moore. So, David, do you expect Sicko to actually spark any change?
Not a lot. I expect it to do about $20 million. I expect there to be some conversation, and there's nothing wrong with having conversation. The more conversation we can have, the better. I expect the next elections to spark a lot more change than anything in Sicko.
David, final word to you, same question. Is there a ray of hope for healthcare in this country?
I think there is. I mean, I actually do think that this is going to wake up people who've never had to consider it before, and they're going to think, oh, maybe there is another way.
All right, we'll see. One set of eyes, David's. One set of eyes is all it takes, my friend. I want to thank Eddie and David both for joining us in the Loop, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Attack of the Show, weeknights at 7, only on G4.